frosty Silver Hill Trail. Mad, isn't it? Eh? Middle of May. I know it's early. Like, not quite 7:15 yet, but it's gone 6:30. But frost. Mad frost on the windscreen of the car as I passed it in the yard this morning. Amazing, isn't it? So I'm out here, Silver Hill Trail. I'll turn around and show you the sun, and I'll disappear for a minute, obviously, because that's what happens. Isn't it a gorgeous morning? You can see steam coming off of the pond there this morning. I don't know if you can see that. As the sun's warming up the cold air. I've got I don't know if you can see the moon behind me there, but I'll go around slowly, it's behind us. Moon's out. Plenty of bird song. I just missed 2 ducks over there. Landing in the pond over there. The second pond, like the other pond. Now, I'll go and make myself comfy over here. As I thought this morning, I want to tell you a little story. I am. I'm having a lot of thoughts in the night. Actually didn't have a bad night. Fairly disturbed like, but not in a bad way, if you know what I mean. Just woken up with dreams, which is alright. Dreams is alright if they're not bad ones. So yeah, I thought I would tell you the story about Easter weekend 2002, when I met and later joined and spent 10 happy years with the Enema Bandits, a motorcycle club with a great many differences, but we'll get to that. I was in my flat in Sheffield, recently amputated, feeling dead sorry for myself, stuck in my wheelchair. Couldn't use my trike because I couldn't get to my trike because it was locked up in a garage that kept getting burgled, because Sheffield's like that. Didn't really have any mates, didn't really have any backup. And well, that's not true. I did have mates. 2 or 3 really close wallers. They used to come round and make sure I weren't sticking my head in the oven. God bless him, Tank's been gone 10 years this year. He died May the 4th, 2010. His funeral was May the 18th, 2010. We were supposed to have a 10-year memorial, but I digress. 2002. My mate Smiler comes over to me and he says, would you like to go and work for Scroty Ray? Now, Scroty Ray is, how do I describe Scroty Ray? Well, if you looked at a photograph of Osama bin Laden, you're not far wrong. In one of the pubs we knew in Sheffield, there was a photo of Scroty Ray behind the bar, and it did actually say gotcha, like the headline. But anyway, he owned a leather stall, making and selling leather patches, belts and bits and pieces, and a moody little raffle. So would I like to go? Basically, you run security on this stall and make sure the little scroats ain't running off with nothing. And I'll come over here to this other side just to show you that for a minute. That other pond. Heat haze coming up there. Anyway, yeah. So would I like to go and work for Scroty Ray, doing security on his stall? I had nothing on, obviously. Couldn't use the trike. But I did have a car. A gold, bronzy colour, Volvo 240. If you know anything about bikes and history, the most hated vehicle from the 70s and early 80s for bikers. But one come along at the right price because nobody wanted these things. and this was a minter. So I bought it, and it was my runabout. It was how I got up and down to Kent to see my kids, my boys that lived with their mum at the time. So I went on this weekend to a rally run by the East Leeds Lions, and the dear departed Russ Harding, God bless you, rest in peace Russ. And it was, the site they used was also used by the people that filmed Emmerdale, that TV show, soap I suppose you called it. So when we got there, obviously a day early, because stallholders set up a day early, the bloke that owned the stall, Scroty Ray, was off trying to meet all these actors, because the film crew's catering unit was set up there, and the actors and people from the TV show were getting their scran, a bit of food. And I was left looking after the stall, so I've no desire to meet minor actors at all. So off he goes meeting, I've met this actor and that actor, and I've no idea who they are, so it's no point me telling you. One of them was a surname of Sugden as an actor, as a character in the show. Anyway, so we get this set up. Thursday night come and went. It was a bit rubbish, a bit pants. Ray was being his usual domineering self, so I had a couple of beers and bailed out in the back of the car for an early night, knowing we'd have a busy day the next day. Started a rally. And we did. It was thronged, I think would be the right word. Thronged with people. There were lots and lots of customers. And we were busy. This was good. The day passed. Although it has to be said, Ray weren't the best of company. He was a bit of a bully, to be honest, as a boss. But I got through the day. And it got to later on in the afternoon, and I was looking for an excuse, to be honest, to bail out for half an hour, because I really did not want to take a bat to this man's head and smash up his stall and say, stick your job up your ass. So I decided I had to go and do something, and I thought, right, how about if I tell him I need to go for a Tommy Tit? So I did that. I said, oh, well, I need to go and have a visit the toilet. And the toilets in this place was up on a trailer, so you had to get up steps to get to it, up on his trailer. So, blah-de-blah, we moved swiftly along. I've done the paperwork, and I'm coming out. And as I come out, and I'm on this like balcony affair, ready to go down these steps, this, well, it was a trike, but it looked like it had been made out of Dexian shelving, and a Morris Marina engine and gearbox, a back end obviously. And this trike seemed to have made it on its last legs, because everything that could make steam or smoke was making steam or smoke as it arrived. This thing was hideous. Great long tiller bars, about 4 foot long. Google them if you don't know what tiller bars are. Long handlebars. Which meant that when you made a tight turn, you couldn't reach the throttle. So the throttle was stuck at one position, you carried on round the roundabout, for example, and that was you. And this thing basically expired in front of me, much to the amusement of all the people round that had turned up with this trike. They all seemed to have the same patches on. So I thought, I'm going to go over and have a talk to these people. And a bloke that got off, I will name him, I'll name him now, Lofty. 6'8", 6'8" a Geordie lad, Durham's finest, with a right grin on his face. He didn't give a monkey's that his trike had just expired. He was more happy that it had made it. And sitting pillion behind Lofty was B, who was significantly shorter than 6'8", significantly shorter than 5'8". Probably not a lot more than 4'8". And they did look like an amusing pair together. To me, that had been stuck in this leather stall for a couple of days, it looked like salvation actually. My kind of people. Like Hanukkah, Christmas, all rolled into one. Anyway, I said hello to these people, had a little chew the fat about the trike for a minute or two, got back to the stall. But later on in the evening, when the stall packed up, I was free to go. That was me, I had the evening to myself. Made my way up to the beer tent and I found these people. And they had been, shall we say, on it all afternoon, all evening. And so I wandered up to them. And B was sat at a table, much similar to one of those tables, to be honest with you. And she had a sort of funny grin on her face. She was holding a wobbly cigarette, but she couldn't get the little cardboard ending properly. She'd pulled out the roach, made a bit of a mess of it, as you might do when you're a bit drunk. I could see what the problem was, and in my pocket I always carried like a miniature multi-tool Leatherman type thing, but a miniature, about an inch long. Found it at some bike show years ago, and I always called it my tiny tool because it was tiny and it was a multi-tool. But the significance of that will come out in a minute, because I'd had a couple of beers now and I'd been locked up, so I had sort of cabin fever, and it didn't really, I didn't intend to think about my words properly. I just opened my mouth and words fall out, as you'll have noticed the last 40 odd episodes of this. And I went, I've got a tiny tool, which obviously has different meanings depending on the listener. This listener needed me to produce this tiny tool quite quickly to prove that I wasn't some sort of sexual lunatic. And that became a joke, and probably still is, to be honest, isn't it? Hey, let's have it fair. To this day, I've got a tiny tool. And that was my introduction to this wonderful group of people who, as I say, over the next 10, 11 years, had some of the most amazing trips with. Went to Germany with a few times, Isle of Wight a few times, all over this country. Amazing. And I will probably tell you quite a lot more about them. The Enema Bandits, they're still going. I left them a few years ago when I quit the drinking. But I'm still in touch with them. Friends like that you never lose. And Tank, who I mentioned earlier on in this, God bless him, he's gone. He joined. And there was all sorts of very serious bike clubs had been trying to get that man to put their patch on for years and years. And he put an Enema Bandits patch on. We were a right laugh bunch of people, we were. And they probably still are, to be fair. If it weren't for lockdown, I'd have met up a few times by now. So, that's it, the story of how I met the Enema Bandits. If you're not into bikes, and you're not into long stories, then that would have been really boring, and I'm sorry. But some of you will be, some of you are. And I'm just sharing the joy of this gorgeous morning. So I hope you have a good day. Whatever you're doing, try and dig up a nice memory, eh? If you're feeling a bit down, if you're feeling a bit glum, try and dredge through those memory nodules for a happy one. Cheer yourself up with a cup of tea and a biscuit and a happy memory. God bless you. Ta-da.